Today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 things that I hate about statue collecting. Good day, my friends, and welcome back once again to Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles. My name's Chris, I'm the Batman statue collector, and we like to do high-end statue collecting reviews, unboxings, and so much more. So if it's your first time watching, please consider hitting that red subscribe button. I think you're going to enjoy this content. Now today I'm actually going to be complaining. I'm going to be complaining about things here on this channel because this is a hobby that we all love. That's why you're watching this, is because you love statue collecting. And there are so many things that I love about statue collecting, but there's also a lot of negatives that come along with statue collecting as well. So today is the top 10 things that I hate about statue collecting. And so we're going to count down from 10 all the way down to number 1. And then of course I am going to do a follow-up video with the top 10 things that I love about statue collecting as well. So let's go ahead and get into the countdown right now. So kicking us off at number 10 with the top 10 things that I hate about statue collecting is going to be sometimes a good thing, but in this case, I'm talking about it as a bad thing, and I'm talking about variety. You know, whenever we have a lot of options, that's a lot of times a good thing, right? You know, a lot of companies offering different things, but sometimes it can just be absolutely overwhelming, and you just don't know what to do. You just don't know how you're going to end up spending your dollar, and that can add up to a lot of headaches. Now, I'm going to give you an example. So I'm a major Mexican food fan. I love Mexican food. It's my all-time favorite. I could literally eat it every single day. And sometimes you go out to a restaurant, and there's literally 700 items on the menu. That can feel very overwhelming. You feel the pressure that you have to order because you just can't comprehend there's so many delicious things on the menu. Well, it's kind of like that with statue collecting right now. There's so many companies offering so many different things. Again, that can be a great thing, but it can also be very, very stressful because you don't know if you are wasting your money. You want to make that smart purchase, right? You want to make that smart purchase, and sometimes, again, it can just be absolutely overwhelming. And so, again, number 10 is variety, okay? Now, coming in at number 9 on my list is display. Now, if you are a statue collector, now, if you're a hot toy collector, sometimes the displays can be a little easier sometimes. But if you are a high-end statue collector, there's not a lot of options. A lot of people use IKEA. That was kind of the go-to staple in the community for a long time. I think I was one of the very first people on YouTube to do custom garage shelving. Now it seems like a ton of people use them. They try to dress them up. And that's exactly what I did 5 years ago. And again, it's great because it holds the weight. However, you know, as collections change, as like especially my collection evolves over time, sometimes those displays don't always work, and so you have to constantly improvise. You know, if you're going for a desired look, you might have to go custom. It's very stressful in terms of, you know, not knowing exactly what you want. And if you're going to spend a lot of money on these shelves, you want it to look right. But then as soon as you put them in, and if it's not what you're expecting, or you get a piece that won't be accommodated by it, again, that could be very, very frustrating in statue collecting. So again, that's something that I hate, is the fact how much time I spend thinking about freaking cabinets, how much time I spend thinking of displays. I've made, you know, tons of videos here on this channel just talking about all of these displays and my options, and you know, again, it's just very overwhelming. So again, number 9, the thing I hate about statue collecting is those darn displays, okay? Now, number 8 on my list, we're going to talk about people a little bit. We're going to talk about scammers. We're going to talk about schemers. This hobby has so many incredible people in it. So many. Way more positives than negatives. But there are, from time to time, people that are on purposely trying to scam us out of our money. Whether that is, you know, they're going to sell us a piece of crap statue, or they're literally going to, maybe they're a custom maker and they screw everybody out of money. We've seen that in the hobby as well, which is why I tend to avoid those things, because again, I've heard so many nightmares. But there are people out there, I wish I was wrong, but there are people out there that are just not good people. And they don't care if they screw you over or not. And that is very, very frustrating, of course, for collectors, because then you don't know who you can trust, right? We want to be able to say, hey, this person is selling this statue, I want to go buy it from them. Sometimes it's not always that easy. So again, I always recommend you ask for references on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you're buying from. Please make sure you ask for references. That is very, very helpful, because again, there are a lot of scammers. I've dealt with some just recently. They were trying to scam me out of statues. So again, please make sure you try to avoid those people. Be part of the community, because they will help you out, okay? Now, number 7. things that drive me crazy about statue collecting is how freaking fragile these things can be. Now, sometimes they're very solid, they're greatly built, they're well engineered, and I tip my hat to all the statue collecting companies because they do such a phenomenal job and they have evolved to the point where they're just absolutely incredible. But some companies' packaging are better than others. Like XM recently is just incredible, their packaging. But sometimes every once in a while you get these fragile elements, right? And usually companies are very good about replacing them. But after you've had them for a while, and let's say you just accidentally bump into something and they break, now sometimes you can super glue or repair it, but it's annoying how fragile these things can be, especially because you're spending, like I spend $1,000, $2,000 a piece on my statues. And when something breaks, it's just infuriating, right? It happens. We've all knocked things down. I've seen complete statues fall. I've seen shelving collapse. And again, if they weren't so fragile, again, some people say they're just painted rocks, but in reality, they are incredibly fragile, especially parts of statues are very, very fragile. I'm thinking of my samurai Harley Quinn with those, you know, the leaves that are on that samurai statue. I've broken so many of them because they just are fragile. They just, you know, you bump into them. It's just very frustrating. So again, at number 7, fragile pieces, okay? Number 6 is a big one. Something that I hate about statue collecting is the amount of time. Now, I, of course, have a YouTube channel, so my time might be a little bit different than the average collector out there. But I spend so many hours on my phone, constantly looking for new statues. You know, I'm in the Facebook communities, on my Instagram, on my TikTok, on my YouTube here. Just for YouTube alone, I edit. I film all of the reviews or all the content on a daily basis. I think about how much time I spend away from my family of things that I could be doing. Although this is my hobby, so I do look at it that way. I try to share my time as much as possible. I try to do all of this stuff in my, in-between times. But also, in addition to just me being a YouTuber, the time spent is incredible. But it's something I love, right? So we're kind of glutton for punishment in that. It's like, yeah, we could be doing something different, but this is what I love doing. So is it worth justifying the time? But sometimes I'm looking and I say, how many hours I've spent watching other people's reviews on YouTube, or how many hours I've spent, scrolling through Facebook, looking for the newest statues and what's going on in the community, which again, that's all something I love, but again, it's very frustrating because again, it is a time suck. And I'm sure if you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's just, again, sometimes it can be pretty darn overwhelming for sure. Coming in at number 5 of the things that I hate about statue collecting is the shipping. I hate what's going on with shipping. I hate selling, all of it. It is just such a hassle. Now, I've heard of collectors that do figures and maybe smaller scale things, it's just easier to ship maybe. But with these statues, having to rebox them, tape them back up, weigh them when they're like 100-pound boxes or 50, 60, 70-pound boxes, getting the print, shipping the labels, dealing with the person buying, making sure that that's all good. I recommend you film what you're doing. You film your boxing. You film what the condition of the box is before you ship it. Do all of those things. But again, it's all time consuming. Again, it all goes back to time. But again, it's very frustrating, the process, and you have to lug all these things around. You have to drop them off or have them picked up. And then you worry about whether, if there's going to be an insurance problem, if there's going to be a breakage in shipping. And so again, it's just a giant hassle with the shipping aspect of the hobby. And I'm somebody that's always getting pieces in. Hopefully you're somebody that doesn't sell very often or get rid of pieces very often. But if you are somebody that has pieces come in, you guys know there's a giant hassle associated with it. And sometimes there can be scammers, sometimes there can be things that just don't work out very well, and again, it's all frustrating. It all builds to that incredible frustration level that, again, sometimes we feel when we are collecting, okay? So that was number 5, shipping. Number 4 is space. Space. Holy crap. Now we're talking about a lot of different things here. We're talking about the amount of space that you might have in your collection room. Okay, I have this space and I'm constantly looking for more space, constantly. I'm constantly having to rearrange or think, okay, I'm gonna have to sell this piece to accommodate this new piece that I want in. Space is always a premium, way more, in my opinion, usually than funds, okay? And you might disagree with that, but for me, at least, space is a bigger issue. because I collect third scale. I collect quarter scale. Those take up a lot of room. You can see them behind me. They take up a tremendous amount of room. I also have to build these shelves, which I talked about. Okay, you have to do all of these things in order to get it to work. Not only space, but you also have to have space for the boxes. Some people say, hey, Chris, I throw away all my boxes. I say, don't do that. If you're somebody that ever is going to sell, you do not want to take it to UPS and have them wrap it. You don't. You want to make sure you have the brown shipper, you want to make sure you have the art box and the styrofoam that came in it. And guys, I know that it takes up a lot of room. Keep it. It's designed for those statues, okay? You can't make it work. I've received statues without the styrofoam. They break every single time. You might have had, good luck. You might have been lucky, but I guarantee you won't eventually. Keep those boxes. But again, I know that that's a whole nother thing. It takes up a giant amount of room in my storage room. Or some people have to pay $100 a month or whatever for storage units. That sucks, but do not throw away your boxes, guys, unless you are 120% sure that you're never going to sell them. But what happens if you're not around anymore and your family has to deal with your statues? What are they going to ship them in? Again, it's a hassle, I know. It's a space suck, I know, but keep those boxes. So not only do you have those boxes space, you have the statues and how you're going to display them space. It can be very, very infuriating, very, very frustrating. Again, something I hate about this hobby. Okay, number 3, we're down to our top 3 here. Number 3, expense. Okay, this hobby is incredibly expensive and it's getting more expensive every single year, which is nothing new. Everything in life is getting more expensive, whether it's gasoline, whether it's TVs. Well, all the TVs seem to go down in price actually, but things in general go up, okay? And it's no different with statues. Statue companies are for profit. They are a business. They're going to constantly push the line to see how much people will spend. Now, some companies have actually gone backwards a little bit, like Sideshow, which is great to accommodate the collector of today with what we're going on with in the world. But companies continue to push those boundaries. We continue to pay, right? I'm a big Disney fan. Disney continues to increase their prices and giving you less perks. People still go. They're the busiest they've ever been. Why is that? There's love, there's passion, there's demand. Statue companies are no different. There's statue, demand, there's love, there's passion. We can't quit you, right? We can't quit this hobby. It's very, very difficult to get out because there's always something new. And so those expenses, we have to understand that this is a hobby. We cannot live beyond our means. I know some collectors do that. We have to make sure that we are doing what we can do to make sure that we are not, screwing ourselves over with the expense. Okay, but again, spending all this money thinking of all the other things, I could have bought cars and boats and other things to help pay off my house. But instead, I have $40,000, $50,000 in this collection. It's mind-blowing, right? But again, that's my hobby I love. I work hard for that hobby. It is what it is. Number 2, top 2, guys. Never enough. The addiction, right? We get these statues in, and as soon as we get them in, guess what? We want another one. I did a video about the in-betweens. We even want statues in between the other statues we're getting. It is an addiction. It is a need. We never have enough. Somebody says, hey, Chris, when is your collection going to end? Hell if I know. I don't know if it'll ever end. Maybe when I'm 90? I don't know. Am I still going to be doing YouTube when I'm 90? I hope not. But I love collecting. It's an addiction. It is the never enough mentality. We always want more. We crave more. It's like a drug. Maybe it's the statue smell that keeps us going. I don't know. But it is what it is, right? It is never enough. Never enough. We just have to keep. We want it. We need it. And it's very hard to quit. Very, very difficult to quit. Clearly, I have not even tried, right? And that brings us down to our number 1 reason. Okay, our number 1 thing that infuriates me, that I hate about the statue collecting thing, this world, is the stress. All of these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10, all of these things end up being stressful. Where this hobby is supposed to be fun and relaxing and enjoyable and take us away from the real world creeps in, right? It creeps in. And so there's stress. Now I've certainly done things over the years to try to eliminate that stress, to budget my money, to kind of help plan out my displays, to not collect everything I want. You know, I eliminated Marvel and Star Wars years ago, and I just focused on Batman. But even within Batman, there's stress, right? Because there's so many options, like we talked about earlier. There's so much variety. So all of these things accumulate to this stress thing. We have to try to beat that stress. We have to try to be positive and, you know, try to take baby steps in eliminating some of that stress. And again, we can do that over time. Doesn't happen in a day. But by far, stress is the biggest annoyance when it comes to this hobby. Whether it's me putting pressure on myself to get a video out every single day, or whether it is, you know, worrying about money, or worried about, you know, what new statue's coming out, or, you know, which piece am I going to put where. Again, it's all part of this hobby, but we do have to kind of keep it in check, right? So this has been my top 10. My top 10 list of 10 things I hate about statue collecting. But you're darn right, I'm going to be following this video up with a top 10 things that I love about statue collecting, because those by far outweigh the negatives. By far, a million times over. And so I can't wait to share that video with you. But I do want you in the comments down below, what drives you crazy about statue collecting? Do you agree with my list? Is your list maybe a little bit different? And please list them down below. But I'm curious as to what you guys think about things that drive you crazy about this hobby. Thank you guys so very much for checking out the video today. I love you all. Thank you very much. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, click that notification bell, and if you want to take it one step further, click the join button down below for early access to our videos and so much more. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so very much. We're on our road to 35K. I can't do it without you. You are the reason why I do this. And again, I'm going to overlook all these top 10 things because, again, you have to take them with a grain of salt, right? Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'll see you right here in the Batcave. Bye, everybody. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these two awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also, please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.